Hi, my name is Alyssa Anderson, and I am the co-creator of Fetish Babies, and I'm here to take a minute to explain what Fetish Babies is. We live in a time where misinformation has replaced information, and despite being a time where we are supposed to be accepting of each other, we still judge each other without getting to know one another. So we created a comic to start replacing misinformation with information.
Hey guys, we're just going to do a quick thing on this. The Kickstarter live video is going to be kicking in a few minutes. We're going to quickly go over some written sins news from the website and just trying to get everything together. We're starting a little later than I wanted to. Apologize about that. Jax needed some attention, so we are getting him together in his room happy. Okay, so written sins news. Here we go. For those who don't know, this is written sins. Today we did, if you'll notice, a lot about Kickstarters. It's all available on the site. We're going to quickly go over a few things. First thing I want to go over is there are free tickets to the vets, and updates is just trying to start if you see anything. Alright, looks like we're going to have to upload this later to Kickstarter because it won't accept it, so that's just going to have to be what it is. Alright, so back to VetCon. VetCon today is the last day where you can actually enter to win tickets for the February 27th show. So if you're going to be anywhere near there, I suggest that you wind up going here and very quickly just filling out whatever you have to. Try to win 2 tickets today. Moving on quickly, Michael Metlin came up with these kind of cool onesies. I thought they were interesting. They're on the site. I definitely take a minute to take a look at them if you have a newborn. It only goes up to 2T or 24 months, so if you have a baby, this is a pretty cool thing. We have the Landslide Kickstarter, another Kickstarter, very cool looking Kickstarter. It's on our site. It's also on Kickstarter. Just look up Landslide. Definitely worth looking at. Brand new. We have the awesome art of Mike Mez Phillips. He did a wonderful Bat Cave. Just wanted to give him a quick shout out while everyone's joining us. We have the last couple days for the following Kickstarters. We have the final actual 4 days for Strange Horror, I believe. I believe we're either at 4 or 3 days. Definitely time to get involved in this. Don't waste your time. Don't waste your money on 50 Shades of Awful. Instead, use that money to back any one of these Kickstarters. Besides the Kickstarter I just showed you, and the 2 plus ours that I'm going to talk about, there's a long list of Kickstarters well worth your money versus 50 Shades, which I actually got to watch today in Spanish live via Kickstarter. Facebook Live. Someone was streaming it from, I'm guessing, Spanish-speaking country, so I got to watch it in Spanish, and it made more sense that way. We have Pieces of Madness. This is Casey Pierce's wonderful Kickstarter coming together. She really put herself out there for this. You got to get on it. It's closing, I believe, in 2 days, so you're out of time. Get on it today before you forget and you don't get to have some of this stuff, because I don't think she's expecting to do much the same way she's doing on Kickstarter later on, so it's either you get in now or you're never going to get it. Okay, the Alter Life Kickstarter really could use some support, even if you're just sharing it around. I suggest doing it. It's a great story. I've actually gotten to read part of it. I know the plan is to go, no matter what happens, he's gonna create this, but this would be the best way to create it all at once, and we'll be able to get the stories quicker and faster than having to do it issue by issue, which Kickstarter is notoriously difficult to do that kind of stuff with. Okay. And now on Kickstarter, another great thing, if you think our current administration's messed up, just imagine if America had been set up to be a kingdom instead of a democracy. So this is definitely something to be involved with. Now, the reason we're here today is Fetish Babies. As you see here, let Fetish Babies be your freak flag and or a hint Valentine's gift or requested gift. Basically, the idea is if you're into bondage, BDSM, or you have a fetish, sometimes it's hard to explain it to someone you're just dating because it's not exactly like you can go up to people you randomly meet and ask if they're into bondage, if they're into something kinky. It's weird. I mean, I did. Go ahead, Alyssa. Alyssa's here with me tonight. She can explain exactly how we met.
We met each other on a website called True.com. And in one of his emails to me, he described vampirefreaks.com and bondage, but it came out vampire bondage. So I was like, what is vampire bondage? I never knew what he was talking about. He's like, no, not vampire bondage. So yeah, that kind of started that whole awkward conversation.
See, I'm just an interesting character. I actually put on True.com and Match.com that I was into bondage. I remember eHarmony told me I didn't have harmony because some of the ways I answered questions, it was interesting. So me and my wife met on True.com, and we're married 6 years now, right?
Yeah,
6 years together, 11 years this year. 11 years this year. So she got to learn a lot about the BDSM through me. I've been plagued with it my whole life. I'm not going to waste too much time talking about it.
Plagued with it.
Well, at a time it felt like I was plagued with it. At a time I felt plagued when you're really young and you're having these urges and ideas of things that you don't understand.
I guess at that time it's plagued.
It's definitely plagued.
They described it as back then.
Yeah, but I mean, you're talking the 90s because I'm so old. The late 80s, early 90s, it was not a perfect time to be someone young trying to figure out if you're going to hell, because I was raised to consider everything that was not normal to be hell-worthy. So, you know, it was an interesting childhood, needless to say, just with that and all the other wonderful things I went through. But let's talk about fetish babies instead tonight. This is all the stuff that we've been covering about fetish babies. We're just going to leave this up here for a minute. We'll get back to it if we have time. We were on a podcast. I just wanted to mention it. Thank you to Comics Launch for Session 81. We have a shout-out at the very end. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to do some questions that we've collected over the last couple weeks. We're going to talk about them quickly, hopefully answer some questions people had about it. This is our brand new cover. For those who haven't seen it, we're very excited about it. As you see, the logo has been changed. That was due a lot to some people's, I guess, concerns over the original logo, which was the building the letter blocks that I don't have one to show you right now because it's not up. But either way, we moved on from it. We got a better logo. We based it on an original idea of a logo, which it's somewhat based on pool balls or the MTA system's lettering, kind of a mixture of both at this point. I like it. I think it's cool. It's a way to try to show who we are, and, you know, this is who we are now. So enough about that.
I was just letting you know that
We got a bunch of people joining. Sorry if I'm not looking. It's sometimes hard to see this. Alyssa will let me know if she sees anything. Okay, we have a sneak peek to give you guys. We're going to go over the team, and then we'll explain what this is in a minute. Okay, so let's first go over the team. This didn't come together without the help of a whole bunch of people, including my wife and myself. This is everyone who's worked on it. Satane did an amazing thing by bringing to life what we had written. So you can't thank an artist enough when they get it and they make it better than you even imagined it. We had Leah Letterman come on board and help us with editing and challenge us to be better. The mural of Things to Come by Carlos Villas was absolutely outstanding and took it to the next level. I mean, it was hard to match Satane with art, and neither one is better in my opinion. It's just different takes on it. Honestly, there's Satane's take, which I love, and Carlos's take, which I love. It's a very interesting process to see your characters brought to life by different characters. And Chris Madd brought one of our brought Barbara to life, the main character of Fetish Babies, and he did an amazing job. Those who didn't see it, I suggest looking very closely at the book she's sitting on. Chris did a great job. Once again, high caliber art in our project. I mean, we have 3 of the best artists that I think are out there right now on our project. And we actually got a synopsis, if I'm pronouncing that wrong, excuse me, from Victor Dandridge Jr. himself, the hardest working man in comics. So you can't do any better than that to have someone like that writing you an intro that will be on our back page if people haven't already read that or seen that, that goes on the back page now. So he's going to officially be on our back page, as well with Chris Madd's art, and you'll have to wait to see it, but it actually looks really good. Okay, so let's get to the questions. First question is, why choose Fetish Babies as my first story to do commercially? I didn't choose Fetish Babies to be my first, to be honest. I had expected a handful of projects to come out way before Fetish Babies came out. They all fell through but Fetish Babies. And ironically, Fetish Babies wasn't even something I was trying to do. We didn't plan to do it. It was already in a novel. We'd already had an offer to publish it as a novel once. We withdrew from that offer because of they wanted creative control rights, and I don't give away creative control rights, but they wanted creative control rights, so I had no time for them. And we went back to fix the novel up. It's funny too, because literally I uploaded the novel, and an hour and a half later we were getting an offer. So the story, from what they read, which was 3 chapters, which chapter 1 is issue 1, that alone got us an offer. So we wound up converting this story because I met Satine through Written Sins, and we were talking, and she had done something that was similar to like a bondage scene, and I asked her if she was into it, and she wasn't really into it. It's not a big thing that she would liked or she was part of, but she said that she wanted to read the story because I explained why I was asking. She read the story and she's like, I really like the story, I could bring it together, and we started it. There are other projects that are actually done that are held up in the pipe now that you're not going to see yet until after this comes out. And then there are other stories that I worked really hard to try to get. Gothic Blue is supposed to have a story that you guys aren't seeing now because the artist kind of just disappeared on me, and that happens. I had another artist have to back out because there's other projects she has to work on. That could have been something that could have backed out. And this is the life of a writer. We can write a lot, and I could have 6 projects going at once. And when I had 6 projects going at once, 3 are now caught in production hell, as it's called. They're mostly done, if not fully done, but I don't know when the delivery date is. They keep pushing it, so I can't really talk about it yet. I'll talk about it when it's finally here. Thank you, Mike. And we'll get to your question in a minute, Mike. I'm just trying to get through the 7 that already did, and you're actually the bonus questions. And we didn't pick 7 on purpose. It just happened to be these were the 7 questions getting asked, but it's just funny. Life works that way. But, so yeah, I never chose to actually do Fetish Babies at first. And I'm not against doing it first. Obviously, I didn't stop. I didn't slow down. I went ahead with it when it was ready. We always planned to do it at this time of the year to kind of be the answer to the 50 Shades nonsense, which is 3 books that sells people out. Well, just for the record, I don't hate the author. I understand she's trying to sell something and she's selling fantasy. I just think she didn't respect people who are actually into it, and she didn't care if she damaged it. She cashed out on it and never even bothered to think what would happen. And it's very clear because every book from book 1, it gets slower and lower with the BDSM and it becomes more about the billionaire. So in my mind, the story was always about the billionaire. It was never about BDSM, but she had no problem selling out on it. Yeah, it was sensationalism. It was popular at the time because of Rihanna. Rihanna brought on that song, and that made it a big thing, so whatever. Let's go on to question number 2, because I don't want to hold you guys up late. It's Saturday night. A lot of people probably want to go out. You guys can watch this video later. We're going to keep it to a half an hour at most. So is Fetish Babies porn? I'll let Alyssa answer that one.
No, it's not porn.
Why isn't it porn?
Because it's based on reality. Plus, if you look at the pictures of Satine's beautiful artwork, there's no boobage, really. It's tastefully done. It's based on reality, not some, I don't know.
It's not overly sexualized.
Yeah.
It's not the sex that winds up in the book, even in the art. We're painstakingly trying to take this subject completely serious, and that means that when we're giving you art, it's meant to have a purpose. Even if we look at Carlos Villas's mural for us, and you will see skin. You will see, I mean, I'm not going to lie to you, there are moments where you see skin, but here's the thing, you can't have what we do. You can't talk about bondage without nudity and addressing it. And it doesn't mean we're going to show sexually graphic stuff. We've talked about artistic ways to get around showing anything too vulgar. you watch a movie, they don't always show everything that they have to. There is tricks to it, and we're going to wind up using a lot of those tricks because I think the line is how you tell the story. When you're making a porn, I think Alyssa would agree, you're showing every step as graphic as you can make it.
Exactly, because when you're reading something and you don't, you want to see the fantasy, you want to picture in your mind, you want it to really stick in your mind because you want it to be in your own kind of visual. And if you give everybody every single piece of skin and everything else that accompanies having sex, there's nothing there. You're done. You're bored. Okay, we're done. There's no fantasy. There's nothing to really...
I also think that makes it cheap.
Yeah.
I think when you have to go for that, and you're like, ooh, look, boobs, look, she doesn't look human. Look how, sexualized she is. Don't you want her? I think that you'll get people to look. I don't think you get them to take that seriously. I think that people don't like having certain things shoved down your throat. The funniest thing, I think, is everyone talks to me about, oh, well, aren't you worried about talking about fetish on a public forum? No. Meanwhile, I have to explain to, my niece, potentially, when she's watching television, what Viagra is, because there's a commercial every fucking 20 minutes about Viagra. You go online, all you see is these models. And a lot of these models are very young and doing very provocative things. So we live in an overly sexualized society, but when you talk about bondage, everyone loses their mind, like the Joker would say. Oh my God, that's just too much. That's too much. And that needs to change. There's a way to tastefully do everything, and we are going to tastefully explain to those who don't understand what the lifestyle is. You don't have to wear leather. It's not all about PVC. It's not about people dressing up. That can be fun. There's nothing wrong with that. But that's the image everyone portrays, is that it's somehow always about embarrassing someone. And it's not. It's a lot deeper, and that's the point of this, is that you guys don't get it's deeper.
There's so many different levels to it.
The biggest level, I'd say, it's trust. You have to trust the person. If you won't allow someone to tie you up, then you're doing something wrong with that person. If you're having sex with them, then why are you having sex with them? That is it. That's the trust is the paramount thing. And if you can't trust the person you're with to do something like that, you're with the wrong person.
Bondage is very big on communication, too.
Yeah, communication.
If you don't be totally honest with the other person, how could you really have any kind of connection?
Yeah, bondage, I think, at the end of the day, gives healthier relationships. And this is proven now, scientifically proven. Healthier relationships because there's so much feedback. It's okay to tell someone what you like and don't like. Meanwhile, in a more vanilla setting, like if you tell someone you don't like something, oh my God, he doesn't like it, I have to get all upset.
Ego.
But in BDSM, it's encouraged. You want to hear, I don't really like that, to make the play better. And that's something that we need to talk about. That's something no one ever knows. Everyone thinks you just take a hard object and hit a person. That's wrong. If you think it's about people who are demented or billionaires who had mommy issues because their friend came over and did bad things to them, that's not what fetish is about. That's not what bondage is about. That's not what BDSM is about. This story is about reclaiming the real essence of what BDSM and bondage is. Moving on, why do a Kickstarter with such a hard adult themed, as they're calling it, property? Why not? Seriously, I've gone through Kickstarter. I literally see people who are creators making women naked to sell comic books, but talking about bondage in a tasteful way is a problem. I mean, I don't know how to say it any nicer than we need to all grow up a little bit. I'm not saying you have to be into bondage. I'm not telling you this is a must for anyone to become suddenly into BDSM. I'm just saying you need to learn to respect other people sometimes, and I think there's not often a lot of respect for people. I don't think that's a lot to ask. Why make it a comic book and not a novel? Funny enough, it's both. It is actually a novel form, and it is now a comic book. We don't have to choose. We're going to pivot back and forth. Alyssa's more into novels as it is.
Yeah, I like novels more because I like to be able to visualize it myself in my head, but, Satane's artwork is just amazing.
Do we think that it can actually change the perspective of people? I'd say yes. I mean, just being able to have it not be treated in a very, I have to write this story so I have to show boobs every 5 panels, will definitely change how people view it, I think. So, what do you think, Alyssa? Can it change perspectives?
I don't think it's going to change everybody's perspective. I'd love it I could be like, hey, my ego would be like, yes, everybody's going to be into bondage, great. No, I think that the people who aren't into it will learn to respect it.
Okay, I can agree with that completely. And 7, why was the name so important to keep even after it was called into question? Some people had a little bit of issue with the fact that we used fetish babies. Obviously, it's not about babies, but I mean, it's like taking Star Wars and thinking Star Wars were about stars in the sky fighting each other.
You can't take everything so literal.
It was meant as a knock, and we're going to get to that in a minute. You guys are going to get exclusive content that no one has gotten yet. And we're also going to talk about the future of it, because that's a question from Michael Metlin, who actually asked the question. We're going to get to it right now. But why keep the name? Because in the story it made sense. It made sense to the story. And to remove it kind of takes away from what comes next. And it is a very big part, and it is important. But we'll explain everything in a minute, more about that. Let's get to it. Michael Metlin's question: will Fetish Babies be a one-shot miniseries or an ongoing series? And where will we be able to buy a copy? Fetish Babies is... right now, Fetish Babies is part of a bigger story. Fetish Babies itself will be, in a comic book form, 6 issues. Now, those 6 issues are not going to be guaranteed to be a certain amount of pages each issue, but it will be in the context of telling the story from the first novel edition. Now, no matter what, whether we go forward with every issue beyond issue 6 in comic books, or it just becomes solely a novel format, it will have life past Fetish Babies, and there is a name change. As a matter of fact, there are, in the plan that we currently have, which is 4 books, there are 3 other titles. Fetish Babies deals with the first book, and the other ones wind up dealing with other things, which I won't give away just yet. But we're gonna go right now to something exclusive that no one has seen yet. You guys are gonna have the opportunity to see for the first time, if you're watching this video, exactly what we're talking about when we talk about the importance of the name. This will be at the end of the book. It explains Fetish Babies, so let's just get into it. All right, here it goes. Bruce says mockingly to me, let me explain something to you. You Fetish Babies just don't get it. This isn't a Wonderland, and it's not a fucking game. There are rules you need to know and knowledge you need to obtain to be able to play safe. This isn't something you try for fun one random weekend to make your boring sorority life more interesting. This shit can kill you and leave scars, both emotionally and physically. This isn't a joke, and it can't be taken lightly, and you cannot expect the world to protect you. So now, that's the big moment. That's from issue 2, and we're not really going to talk more about it right now. We're just going to say that it's a very powerful moment between the characters. That character saying it, Bruce, you don't know who he is yet, do you? And you're going to have to wait to find out. But it becomes one of those things that in that moment, it really affects her to make her realize that she has entered into something that can be dangerous if she doesn't treat it with the respect. And she winds up going off and making FetishBabies.com, which creates a blog. That blog is the comic book. We told the story in a very unique way for issue 1. Issue 2, once you're done reading issue 1, issue 2 is going to take a sudden change, and it will make sense. The huge change between issue 1 and issue 2 will make sense, but I'm not going to ruin anything for now. Issue 1 hasn't even come out. A lot of people want to read it. When you're done reading it, we'll talk more about issue 2. For those who hadn't read it, you might get some spoilers, but for now, we're not spoiling anything. So, as to where we will be selling it, that is to be determined. I don't know if we're going to go to Comic-Con strictly with this. I mean, it would be very hard. We might do a couple test shows this year. I don't see having one comic book being feasible to be at a table. We have been reached out to by a few publishers. I don't know how teaming up with a publisher would work for us. I'm looking into it. I'm open-minded about that. We're also looking at the Amazon thing. At this point, we're going to start wrapping up because it is late. Liz is going to wind up taking off to just go help out with that. Liz is going to just tell you in closing her thoughts on why you should back Fetish Babies. the passions about it. Like, explain about being a woman and how, like, women are treated poorly, and you want to, remember you were saying something about that, how women can't post pictures, certain pictures, because they're suddenly sluts.
Oh, God, yeah.
And how that's important. I know you wanted to just make a mention of that.
I honestly feel out of the spot because I'm camera shy, even though I'm not on camera. I don't know. Fetish. Well, when I was in the scene, everybody was just assuming that because you're dressed up sexually and you're in a fetish scene, that you're just a slut and open for open season, and it's just not true. Yeah,
I had to have a talk with a couple guys a couple times.
Oh my God, I always got touched, and it was so awkward because I'm like, why do you think it's okay to grab my ass? Why do you think it's okay to touch my boobs? And because I'm in a social setting, I was trying to be nice, especially with the person who was hosting the events. I didn't want to hit the guy, even though I so wanted to, because it's not, just because I shown a little cleavage, just because I'm wearing a short skirt, doesn't mean that you're free to touch me.
Well, you become someone's toy instantly.
Yeah, I'm not anybody's toy. I'm a human being, and that's how everybody is in fetish, male or female.
All right, guys, at this point, after that wonderful thing, we're going to start wrapping it down. Just a few extra points. Thank you, Alyssa, for being on today's video.
Everybody.
All right.
Thank you for listening. Bye.
I wanted to quickly thank everyone who's backed the Kickstarter. We're going to quickly look at the Kickstarter now and see where we're at. We are currently 74 backers, $2,292. The cool thing about that is that the Carlos Villas art is now part of the book. That's right. It's officially become part of the book. It'll be at the end. We also, this is Satine, just the team, Chris, Madden, Carlos. All the things are still available. As far as Mike's question, where are you going to be able to buy it? Stay tuned. We're working. We really are working on trying to figure it out. We're going to try Amazon. We're going to try to probably pitch it to, we'll try Dark Horse. Dark Horse and Image, maybe one of them will be able, I don't know about Dark Horse, maybe Image. We'll wind up finding a home for it. As far as just being, like I was saying, like a con table, I don't know if we're ready there for just one book. I wanted to have more books, and like I said it earlier at the beginning of the podcast, or whatever you want to call this, live video cast, I was very disappointed by how certain projects hadn't come to be, and that's part of it. That's, Fetish Babies shouldn't have been my first anything. There was even something that I would have considered to be a Kickstarter at one point that wound up not happening. So shit happens. You move on. That's what we did. That's why we have this Kickstarter as my first thing. But we will get a way to get people the books. I guarantee you that. Just don't know how yet. But it will. I mean, once we print them, well, even if I have to find a way for you guys to give me money through PayPal, if you want a copy, we'll get you a copy. Don't worry about that. Last question we had, and then just real quick wrap up, and then I'm going to let everyone get back. Thank you to everyone who tuned in. Really quickly, someone private messaged me this, so I'm not going to mention their name. They asked if we have a publisher, and I touched on that. We're open to the idea of a publisher. We just don't know how we'd fit into certain universes of published books, because we don't want to make an agreement with a publisher that's not going to handle it in a way. Like, I just don't want to see big banners for this, because there are kids that go through Artist Alley. I think that there's a way to tastefully do this where adults can see it, read the title, know what's going on. And you can see by the cover, it's nothing explicit, and our covers will never be explicit. That's the whole point. They're going to be a way that only adults know what's going on. And I just want to make sure that this isn't something that is treated poorly, as it shouldn't be. Someone had once asked me how I would want a comic book to handle this on a shelf. I said, not on a shelf at all. Unless they have a section which is adult themed and they don't let kids near it, this shouldn't be something that kids could get their hands on. So that's just my opinion on it. And when getting with a publisher, I want to make sure that they wouldn't mishandle it. And that is a concern of mine, because I don't want it to be in someone's hands it shouldn't be in, or become like some sort of joke thing. I think this needs to be handled with the respect that the people who are involved in it deserve. Okay, just a couple things, and we're done. Carlos Villas art is now in the book. You know that. Issue 1 is officially done. We are completely done. Remember earlier in the video I said this would make sense later? You didn't know what it was? You guys are looking at issue 1. I know. It looks so cool, right? It'll look even better at real size. But no spoilers, guys. If you want to see the book, you got to get get on the Kickstarter. We're almost out of time. I think we're just about to go into counting down by the hours. So when it gets serious is when the clock goes to hours instead of days. Yeah, we're at 3 days right now, but I think within an hour of now, because we're done at like 11 o'clock, we're going to wind up having that countdown clock begin. So, and as you can see, the video never went. The fetish, last big announcement. We're going to be doing a fetish anthology. We don't know how it's going to work yet. But me and Alyssa were talking, and we want to reach out to other creators, and we want to build an anthology, which we will include a story. Remember how I was talking about how Fetish Babies is only a 6-part issue, and how it's part of a bigger universe? We will have a story from that bigger universe that it's part of in that anthology. So stay tuned. We're going to get details out there. I literally, we just came up with this week that we wanted to do this. I don't know who's going to join us. We're trying to figure everything out right now, but we will be planning to do a fetish anthology to allow creators to have a way to create something. There's even discussion that we might let creators have anonymity in what they're creating, pick up just different non-diplomas just for that particular book. We'll see. Time will tell. Thank you all for stopping by. Hope I answered everyone's questions. The video will be live as soon as I can get it live. I'm not live, but on my page. Sorry about the growly voice. I'm dealing with the flu. You guys are great. Thank you, everyone who's backed us. Thank you for everyone who's shared it. We've had such wonderful support from fellow creators. I couldn't ask for better friends and the fellow creators that have supported us. The shout-outs and all the different websites that we've gotten, the different... we got the shout out in the podcast. A couple people's videos have mentioned us. It's been great. I can't thank you all enough. I could go down a list of people, but I forget someone and I don't feel like shit doing that. Thank you, Michael Metlin, for your question. Thank you for everyone who asked the questions on Kickstarter that influenced our list. Everyone go enjoy your night. Just don't watch 50 Shades. Save your money. If anything, watch it when it goes on to like Netflix or something for free as part of your basic package. Good night and stay kinky.